There is a type of psychological damage so complete that the victim defends the person who caused it. Studies show that survivors of narcissistic abuse often experience symptoms identical to combat PTSD. Not from violence, not from screaming, from silence, from small moments, from patterns so subtle they felt like love. No bruises, no witnesses, no evidence you can hold in your hand. Just a version of yourself you no longer recognize staring back from the mirror. So here is the question you need to sit with. What if the most dangerous person you will ever encounter never raises their voice? And what if you have already met them? This is the mind shadow. We study the mechanisms people use to control, manipulate, and destroy, so you can see them before they see you. Today, we are going inside the silent methodology of the narcissist. Not the loud, obvious one everyone already knows to avoid. The one who builds you up first. The one who made you feel chosen. Understanding this process is not about becoming paranoid. It is about becoming unbreakable. By the end of this, you will see the entire blueprint, and you will understand why it works on the sharpest, most self-aware people alive. That is the part most people never tell you. The first phase is called idealization, and it is the most important move in the entire sequence. Before a narcissist can destroy you, they must first make you believe they are the best thing that ever found you. This is not accidental charm. It is a deliberate, calculated process called love bombing. They study you. They listen for your wounds, your ambitions, your insecurities. Then they become the answer to all of it. They mirror your values back at you until you feel a connection so rare, so electric, that your rational mind goes quiet. This is not falling in love. This is being targeted. Consider the case of Sam Vaknin, a self-diagnosed narcissist and one of the most studied individuals in the psychology of NPD. He documented his own tactics in clinical detail. He described idealization as creating a shared fantasy, a world where the victim becomes the perfect complement to the narcissist's self-image. You are not loved. You are cast in a role. The role exists to serve them. Here is what makes this phase so dangerous. Your brain releases oxytocin and dopamine during intense early bonding, the same neurochemistry as addiction. By the time the idealization ends, you are chemically dependent on someone who is performing the entire time. And when the performance stops, you do not run. You chase. You try to get back to that first version of them, the one that felt so real. That chase is exactly what they built you for. Once they have your trust, the second phase begins. And it is almost invisible. Gaslighting is not simply lying to your face. That would be too easy to detect. Real gaslighting is a long-term campaign designed to make you distrust your own perception. It works by introducing micro-contradictions, small, deniable moments that accumulate into cognitive collapse. They say something cruel. You react. They tell you it never happened. You replay the conversation in your mind. You begin to wonder if you imagined it. Over time, your internal narrator, the voice you use to make sense of reality, stops being your own. It starts quoting them instead. Neuroscience explains why this is so effective. When you experience repeated contradiction between what you perceive and what you are told, your prefrontal cortex, the rational, decision-making part of your brain, enters a state of chronic low-grade confusion. The brain hates unresolved conflict, so it resolves the conflict by accepting the version of reality the dominant voice offers. You do not get weaker because you are weak. You get weaker because your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Research from Jennifer Freed at the University of Oregon on betrayal trauma shows that victims of intimate psychological abuse often suppress the very memories that would help them escape. This is a survival mechanism. When the person hurting you is also the person you depend on, your mind protects the relationship over the truth. The narcissist does not need to be smarter than you. They just need to be patient enough. The third phase is identity erosion, and this is where the destruction becomes permanent if left unchecked. By this point, your confidence in your own perception is already fractured. Now, the narcissist begins replacing the pieces. It starts with your preferences. Small things: where you go, what you wear, who you spend time with. Each choice gets met with subtle disapproval, a sigh, a cold silence, a look. You adjust. You tell yourself you are being considerate. Over months, those adjustments accumulate into a personality that was sculpted to keep someone else comfortable. Your friendships thin out. Not because the narcissist forbids them, they are too intelligent for that obvious a move. Instead, they make every social event about their discomfort. Every friend of yours a source of quiet tension. You start self-censoring your outside relationships to avoid the aftermath. Then your opinions go. Your ambitions get quietly pathologized. Wanting more becomes selfishness. Having boundaries becomes aggression. The vocabulary shifts. In environments of prolonged narcissistic abuse, victims often adopt what psychologists call a false self, an adapted identity built entirely around managing the narcissist's emotional state. You stop thinking about what you want. You become an expert at reading their mood. Your entire internal world reorganizes around one question: what do they need right now? This is the silent kill, not a single dramatic moment. 1,000 tiny surrenders, each one feeling like a reasonable compromise, until the person you were is simply gone. And the cruelest part? You will miss them, even if that person was you. Now here is the revelation, the one that reframes everything you just heard. Remember the open loop from the beginning, the idea that victims defend the person who destroyed them? Here is why. The narcissist never destroys your attachment to them. They destroy your attachment to yourself. That is the mechanism. That is the whole game. You do not stay because you are blind. You stay because by the time the damage is complete, the relationship is the last stable thing you recognize. Your identity has been replaced. Your friendships have been thinned. Your internal voice has been rewritten. Leaving means stepping into a void where you used to be, and the human mind will choose a painful familiar over an unfamiliar freedom almost every time. This is why intelligence and self-awareness offer almost no protection against narcissistic abuse when you are already inside it. The process does not exploit stupidity. It exploits trust, loyalty, and the very human need to make relationships work. Knowing this changes everything, not because it gives you power over them. You never had that. But because it gives you power over the process. You can see the idealization for what it is before you are chemically dependent on it. You can name the gaslighting before your prefrontal cortex surrenders. You can protect the architecture of your identity before the renovation begins. Awareness is not a guaranteed shield, but it is the only one that works. If this hits something real for you, sit with it. The discomfort you feel right now is clarity arriving. Share this with someone who needs it. They may not have the words yet for what they are living. If you want to go deeper into the mechanics of influence, manipulation, and the psychology of control, subscribe. Every week we go further into the shadows so you do not have to navigate them blind. And if you found value here, the like button costs you nothing, but it keeps this knowledge reaching the people who need it most. Until next time, I'll see you in the shadows.